get good at any of our Rutherford County locations.
860 Northwest Broad Street, on Church Street in the Barfield area, in Smyrna on Sam Ridley, and Toots West on Franklin Road at Rucker Lane.
Hey y'all, it's Taylor at Bell Jewelers inviting you to come shop our huge Pandora sale. I'm talking the biggest Pandora sale we've ever had. We're phasing Pandora out, so anything that's regular price is going to be 50% off, and then anything that Pandora calls last call, not going to make it anymore, is going to be 75% off. So minimum 50% off of Pandora here at Bell Jewelers, 821 Northwest Broad Street, across from Toots.
Hello, this is Emily Messier, and I am a resident at Adams Place Assisted Living. Number one, most important advice, start early and get your name on the list. That's the biggest obstacle to overcome, is getting in here, because it's a very popular place for people to retire to.
This is Terry Deal. Call me at 615-904-9111. Adams Place on Memorial across from Walmart.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Welcome into the Roundtable. I'm Andy Herzer, founder and executive director of First Shot. I got the best coaches I've met in a long, long time. Tara James, also athletic director at PCA, and Carrie Hammons. Just coming off state championships, and very few schools double up like you all did. Tara, I'm going to start with you. I remember when you first took the job, and your commitment to development was impressive to an old ball coach. So talk about the early stages, how you built it, kind of what your culture you were trying to build.
Sure. This is my 13th year, and so while that went quickly, it feels like a long time ago in terms of the progress of the program. Walked through touring as a parent, and legendary Randy King poked his head out the window and waved at me and said, "Tara Solomon, are you here to coach?" And I said, "Do you have a team?" That's how little I knew about PCA at that point. And at that point, they did have a team. They weren't playing in TSSAA. We've only been in TSSAA for 10 years. And so I took the job because it gave me an opportunity to be at the same school with my girls. Nothing else mattered to me outside of that. I knew very little about PCA, and it quickly became a really special place to me. The first open gym that I had one kid. My plan was to go to camp, and we're going to do all these things, and I quickly learned that the PCA community was traveling and doing other things, and basketball was not a priority. I literally had one kid in the gym, and we worked on left-hand layups, so that was 13 years ago.
So, but again, it grew quickly, and I think you were the attraction because you were not just committed to develop them as basketball players, but also as young ladies. So talk about that, how that's developed over the last 13 years for you.
Sure. I mean, that's the priority for me. Basketball is secondary to having the opportunity to mentor, to pour in, to hopefully teach young ladies to avoid some of maybe the mistakes that I made, and to learn through the game of basketball. Now, don't get me wrong, like, I love it, but it's given me an opportunity to build relationships with these girls. That one quickly turned into two, quickly turned into five, quickly turned into a gym of girls, and I got to go back to Grace McMurray, who was one of my Grace Beasley now, initial players, who was one of my very first all-in players that started, hey, we need to come to open gym. Hey, we need to go to camp. Hey, we need to do those things. And so it just takes one player to start getting other kids involved. And so she was very instrumental in the leadership of girls basketball at PCA.
That is awesome. Carrie, talk about when you were hired, what your thoughts were, and why did you take a job? Because you were an up-and-coming young college coach, could have stayed in those ranks. Why did you choose PCA?
First, thanks for having us on, Andy. It's an honor as always. I would say, one, I wanted to be a head coach. I knew I wanted to be a head coach, and after being in college for a few years, you see what that grind looks like, and I knew ultimately I wanted to get married. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to see my kids grow up, and that's really, really hard, as you know, as a college basketball coach. Being on the road, recruiting, road trips, playing games in conference, that's tough. When you have a small young family. And so I met with Coach James at Just Love. We spent about 3 hours talking. I got to visit PCA, met Coach Carter, talked to him for about 45 minutes at Calvary Church, or One Church now. I just fell in love with the place. Knew it was going to be difficult coming in, kind of like what Coach James said about just the culture of athletics at that point. The girls team was a little ahead of the boys team at that point in time, but wanted a shot to coach my own team and kind of build a program, and I'm lucky enough that Coach James gave me that opportunity.
So my thing is, I helped Mike Jones run practice. Right. Didn't coach because I wasn't going to lose my testimony, because I didn't trust myself with referees.
And you said that.
Right? So you look at it, back then, everybody made the team. No one ever got cut. And no one was ever held accountable, which I could not fathom as a college guy. It's changed. So talk about that change and how you guys have kind of evolved into a premier basketball school.
I'll take this one, Coach. Sure. Funny you say that, Andy, because like my first probably 3, maybe 4 years, like we had cuts. I was really adamant about you need to be able to do this to be on the team, and didn't want just everybody showing up. And then after a tough year of coaching, I read a book called Culture Code, and it kind of changed my thinking about what basketball is able to do for these young men. And so ever since then, like if a kid shows that he wants to be a part of it, I try to do everything in my power to make sure that he's a part of it, because like Coach was saying, like basketball is just a vehicle that we get to use to teach life lessons, to share our testimony, to keep these kids from making the same mistakes that we did. And if they're able to be a part of something special, something bigger than themselves, and be involved in all the things that we do outside of the basketball court, I think that it's beneficial. And so, like I said, if a kid shows that they want to be a part of it, they show up, they're ready to do the work, they understand that maybe they're not going to play JV, practice, varsity, whatever that is, but they want to be a part of it. I try to do everything in my power to make sure that they're able to do that.
So when you look at this evolution at PCA, because that's what I call it. I mean, I've seen it from the ground up, kind of. I remember when Mr. Gibbons, who was our SID, he and his wife were going to start this school. Mm-hmm. And he said, Andy, how do you see athletics fitting in it? I said, it should be a vital part of it. It's a whole person that we're trying to build, and Christ should be right in the center of it. And I think you two guys, both of you, I'm sorry, I say you guys, I'm from the north.
That's okay.
Y'all are pouring into these kids Christ-like character. Let's talk about how you do that, Tara, if you don't mind, and then Carrie, if you talk about that.
Absolutely. As my relationship with the Lord grows, so does it with the team. And that's just how it goes. And I've experienced that in my own life, how as I've grown in my faith, I take that into the team. Our goals as a team have changed over the last 3 years. We used to have this whole board written up of how many rebounds and how many points we're going to give up and how many turnovers we're going to have and all these things. We're going to win the district. We're going to win the region. We're going to win the state. And year after year, except for 2 years, we fell short. And that was a weird feeling, because a successful team doesn't always mean that you won the state championship, in my mind. And so 2 years ago, our goals changed from that big old board written with all these details about basketball to, number one, we're going to have the opportunity to get closer to God. all the coaches, all the players, the managers, everybody's going to have that opportunity by bringing in testimonies, by sharing devotions, by reading the Bible together, by doing different studies within the Bible. And so that's number one. Number two, we're going to get closer to each other. And so we work at bonding as a team and becoming a family. And then lastly, we're all in. We're all in with those two things. And so our goals simplified. And what happened was we realized if we met number one, we got closer to God. We got closer to each other, and we were all in with what we were trying to do with the above two. We were successful, whether we won the state or not. Last year we made it to the Final Four. That is one of the most successful seasons I've ever had. We had 3 people baptized. There were just so many fruitful things going on. Winning became sort of the byproduct of that.
I always think, Carrie, that I know when I was in college, I never brought God into the basketball arena because that's what we were taught, right? That's what I was taught. And I had a aha moment that it changed. And just like you, as I've grown, so has First Shot's grown. Talk about where it is for you and how PCA has helped you in that growth.
I'd say it's been huge, especially my first team. I always talk about these guys. They're monumental in the culture that we have, not only in the basketball program, but even in our school. Maxim Murray, Eli Wilson, Austin Thompson, Anderson Riddell, like all these guys that I had the privilege of coaching for 3 years helped me grow in my faith. The amount of time that you spend together as a basketball team, you get a chance to be around your guys off the floor, bus rides, meals, hotel rooms. And so I got to know those guys a lot off the floor. And they showed me that I really need to grow in my faith. Like they made me want to grow closer to God, be in the Word more, just because I saw how they walked, how they carried themselves, how they talked their teammates up in a godly way. It gives me chills just even thinking about it right now, just the impact that those guys had on me, because there's a lot of places, a lot of schools where you're not able to bring God into the conversation. And I think as a coach, the more vulnerable you are with your team, the more they see you as a person, not just a coach just telling them what to do. That gives them more buy-in and also allows them to be more vulnerable. And if you have a team of guys that work hard, are able to be vulnerable with each other, on the floor, off the floor, I think you have an opportunity to do something special.
Well, looking at it, you obviously both have done it. Let's kind of go back to your high school career. You kind of said something off air to me that how many state tournaments did you play in as a player? She is a Hall of Fame player at Cannon County, along with Randy King. I get the connection. Talk about that. Talk about your high school experience.
A lot of winning. I mean, it was very free basketball playing, which is interesting because in the moment it was Coach Robert A. Harris, who's not around. He's not with us anymore. But he just allowed us to play. And we had some incredible players on that team, which is very rare for a small community at that time. Julie Powell, who's arguably one of the best players in that area, the best coming out of Cannon County. And that's saying a ton because there's some really good players. But he knew that we had the talent to just go play basketball, and that's what we did. It was a lot of fun, but I really think that the winning mentality and the family mentality started with me even way back then. We were, my freshman year, runner-up, sophomore year, runner-ups, and then junior year won it, and then senior year had some injuries on our team. But I think that instilled some winning early on, that was just sort of the expectation.
So you look back, because my mom was a high school coach in the 60s and early 70s. Women's athletics come a long way. Mm-hmm. Talk about that as an experience, what you see when you played to now when you're coaching for the opportunity for girls to play.
Definitely the positionless part. Kids can do a lot of things now. They're not just an inside player or an outside player. You think about Kate Madison on our team, who's a 6'2" post player that can come out and knock down a three, who can bring the ball down if needed. The speed of the game, the pace of the game, the physicality of the game. It really has shifted. I feel like I want to get defensive about my team back in the day too, because we were just out there hooping and making behind the back passes, but we weren't in the weight room like kids are now. We weren't working on speed and agility. We were just at the park playing pickup, which I think is something that's missing from the game. If we want to get to that, the combination of those two would be beautiful.
So when you talk about it, because I grew up on a blacktop playing in Indiana, I mean, you go out and play, you end up fighting, and that part of it, you'd solve the problem of the foul, no foul, right? So talk about, what do you think, why is that missing today? Because I can go into Patterson Park or out sports comm, and it's loaded with guys playing, but not girls.
Yeah.
Back in the day when I was playing, the girls playing on the other end on the blacktop.
Right.
So what's changed?
Well, I think now you've got individual trainers. You've got rebounding machines. You've got all these things that you didn't have then. I played with the guys. Like, I had to kind of earn my spot and get picked up and play with the guys. And now a lot of girls, you've got to teach a play for them to be successful and score instead of just go score. I learned how to do that. We learned how to do that playing pickup. And so I think I want to coach where there's freedom within structure, but kids not playing pickup sort of inhibits that.
Carrie, what are your thoughts? I mean, the era has changed. You grew up, in a different era than I grew up, even 20 years before her. But talk about the change, what you see.
So I grew up watching my dad play pickup. As long as I can remember, at Holloway, being in there all day, just watching grown men just go at it, sports comm, and so I always wanted to do that. I kind of brought that to middle school and high school. Like, after practice, a lot of us would go play. Like, we'd go to sports comm or we'd go to Patterson, and we'd keep playing. We'd play one-on-one after practice, and so that's kind of like Coach said, the individual skill development that you see on social media, and that's kind of taking hold of some kids. But I think if you do both, then you become a really good player, because you're not playing against cones. Like, you're not doing it when you're playing in a game. That defender's trying to stop you, and so if you could take that skill development and then go work on it against somebody else and pick up, that's how your game is able to grow. You're able to play against different size guys. Like Coach said, I'm sure playing against guys, like, you got to figure out how to score. Like, if you're a young kid playing against grown men, you got to figure out how to get open. You got to figure out how to score. What are you going to do so that the older guys pick you up so that you get to play? I think that's kind of one of those things that's missing now.
Well, we're going to take our first break and be right back with Coach James and Coach Hammons.
When it comes to your child's health,
you want care that's close, convenient,
and centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
Here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you,
every step of the way.
What's the location of your emergency? I think my kid OD'd.
Hi, I'm Craig Harris. I'm County Commissioner of Rutherford County. One of the reasons I ran for office is because I wanted to bring awareness to the opioid epidemic that's impacting our county. To stop providing this epidemic with people as we educate. We have a lot to do, and we have to come together as a community because this problem is not going away.
farmers. Local meats, vegetables, and other produce at the Winter Spring Rutherford County Farmers Market.
Bundle up and make your way every Friday at Lane Agri Park.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and AmeriCare Pest Control.
This is a paid legal ad.
At the law offices of John Day, we take only real cases that make a real difference.
The law offices of John Day took the burden really off of my shoulders.
So if you think you're going to get rich quick with a frivolous case, I'm not the lawyer for you.
I want you to know that I appreciate everything you have done so much. I know you went over and beyond.
If we're not able to help or aren't the right lawyer for you, we'll do the best to point you in the right direction. If you've been injured, call the law offices of John Day for a free consultation.
Now, Good Neighbor Events. Here's Bart Walker.
Borough art crawls are back in Uptown Murfreesboro on the first Friday night of each month, 5 until 8 in the evening on the historic Murfreesboro Square. Give the gift of life. Give blood at the Red Cross. Phone the Red Cross at 800-RED-CROSS and make an appointment to give blood at a time that fits your schedule. Don't miss the underwater Easter egg hunt this Saturday morning at 9 at the Patterson Community Center. For information, phone the Patterson Community Center, 615-895-5040. Are you registered to vote? This is an election year, and if you just moved to town and haven't registered, head over to the Election Commission on the south side of the Murfreesboro Square and register to vote. Don't throw away Old Glory. Bring your tattered American flags to WGNS and let the girls from BSA Troop 2019 at Trinity United Methodist Church retire it with dignity. Plus, we also recycle Bibles. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
Sunshine mixed with clouds at times today, with daytime highs approaching 64. Partly cloudy tonight, 41. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Right now, 47.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric, and they want to make sure you're in the loop. Head over to MTE.com to update your contact info so you can get those timely alerts on outages, billing, and more. That's MTE.com.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into the Roundtable. I'm Andy Herger, founder and executive director of First Shot. Welcome back in, Coach James and Coach Hammons. Off air, you were talking about your conversation that you had with Kermit Davis about this young man. You want to talk about it?
Sure. Coach Hammons put down a list of references, and as we were going through the hiring process, I really looked forward to calling Coach Davis and just kind of picking his brain about Hammons and his work ethic and all the things. And it was one of the most memorable reference checks I've ever done because he completely flipped it. You know, is he going to be in the classroom? How much are you guys paying him? Are you going to treat him right? Like, it literally turned into he was checking my checking me as a reference. Like, let me make sure that my guy that I care about is going to the right place and he's going to be treated well. I mean, it was a completely, I ended up being a little nervous trying to answer questions that he was asking me. And so I think of that so often because that is the care and love of a coach for a player that goes far beyond basketball.
You know, I always find those that really do care and have relationships with the players are still checking in when they're not scoring points and grabbing rebounds and making assists. Coach Davis is a master of a lot of things, great communicator, but he truly cared. Now, he's going to coach you hard. And, Carrie, you can probably talk about that a little bit, being coached hard. Compared to today, can you do the same hard coaching? I know not to that degree. I mean, you were in college. I mean, we coach differently than you did in high school in the amount of how you would get into them. I get that. But talk about both of you. How do we hold kids accountable in the day and age where they can just up and leave?
I think Coach Davis has that effect on a lot of people, making them a little nervous when he talks to them. But that's my guy. That's really awesome to hear. There was no doubt that he cared about his players. He just wanted the best, and he was really, really demanding on the details and how we did things. And that's one of the things where I try to take from him and being coached by him is just the attention to detail in every aspect of the program, from how you travel, how we scout, how you set a screen on a screening angle, just all of those little things that in the moment as a player you think, why are we doing this? But once you see the results and you see that it's effective, that's when you're able to create buy-in. But I think coaching style is it's different for each coach. And I think that I've taken things from every coach that's coached me and every coach that I've had the privilege of working with or for. And you find what fits your personality. I think that I'm demanding of my players. But I also think that they know that I care about them and that it's coming from the right place. And I also think there's a difference between being demanding and demeaning. If you're demanding the best out of them because you see that they have a lot of potential and you're calling them up, that's different than calling them a name or whatever that is, because they're not
belittling them.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Get that.
And so that's what we try to do as a coaching staff, is call guys up to the young men that we know that they can be, and the relationship piece on the front end is what allows you to be able to coach them and practicing in games.
Have you seen a difference over your career coaching?
I have, and I want to put on my AD hat for just a minute. As I watch his practices, I've learned from him and his coaching style. I think the way he coaches is perfect for this generation. He brings fun and enjoyment and a looseness, but also when I say loose, it's still structured. It's still disciplined, but there's an air in his practices where guys want to be there. And I think that's important with this generation and these kids, is they've got all kinds of choices. They've got all kinds of options on what they can do, specifically at our school. But they want to be in the gym with him and his staff and their team. And so I've lightened up. And when I say lightened up, that doesn't mean that we're not going as hard. But my demeanor, we've got music at the beginning of practice. We're lighter with our kids. We're looking at them not just as basketball players, but as kids that have come in from their last class, and we chat with them. But I've really learned that from him and his style.
Well, let's go back to your team. This summer, no one understands. It started in June.
For sure.
To win a championship in March. Talk about your team, what you saw this summer. Where were they at? Where did you think they were at?
So it's interesting you say it started in June. I had no seniors last year. So this actually started the June before, the spring before. And so one of the mistakes that I made early on the season, including camp, was treating them like they were the same team. They were, but they weren't. They were older. I had 5 seniors who were thinking about college and senior thesis and life and driving and boyfriends and all the things that come. And so we as a coaching staff, and me specifically, we were treating them the same, like it was the same team. They're hungry for the same things that they were last year, and we're just going to keep rolling with that. And we didn't have a very good summer. I mean, we were struggling to score. We had some kids injured as well, but we were just trying to be the same, where we needed to really figure out the identity of who we are with new freshmen and kids being a year older. And so the summer wasn't great. I mean, we struggled to score. We got beat multiple times, which is good. That's what you want. You figure out who you are when you get beat, not when you win. And so the summer was tough. The preseason is always tough. We choose to play a really difficult schedule. But I will say, as the season went on, we started to really develop our identity for who we are this season. And we, as coaches, started adapting to who they are instead of who we wanted them to be. And so I know that's really vague, but it was a learning curve for me to see them, the same team, but not, and me adjusting to who they were. January was tough. January's tough in any season. You know, there's no tournament. You're in the thick of academic rigor. We're on the road a ton. We played a ton of Saturday games in our district. There are some games where we win by 30 plus points, and that's not demeaning to the other programs, but that's not necessarily helping us along the way. And then we're seeing MTCS and some others and playing really good coaches and really good teams. So January was tough, but we started to see people rise up. We started to see kids like Eva Burkhofer really own her role on the team. Kids like Alex Anderson really step into her role, which actually shifted mid-season. And so it was really beautiful to watch, but we learned more probably in the district championship losing that game than any other game.
And who did you lose that to?
We lost to MTCS, who's a very talented team with a talented coaching staff. But we go back and forth all season, but we had lost to them and did not play well. Decided to come out and play with more heart. Late in the game, they played very well and lost barely with a few seconds left. But that catapulted us. I mean, it definitely, we were at a crossroads where we were going to be okay with being second, or we were going to push to be better. And the team really took off after that.
When you look at this team, 5 seniors, sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad.
Absolutely.
And you said for a lot of reasons early, senior thesis. I don't think a lot of people understands the rigor at PCA with the thesis that are listening. Mm-hmm. So, everybody has to present, every senior, and it's a year preparation.
Sure, and it's happening during the tournament. Yes. Like the capstone of our entire academic career is happening during the tournament, during the district and region, even going into the state tournament. And our GPA is 4.0 for our team, and I've got a ton of perfectionists, and I'm not bragging about that because we study the disciples, and there's a reason behind that, to show them that the people closest to Jesus were not perfect, and you're never going to be perfect. But I have a bunch of perfectionists, so this could either lead to your point, which is stressed out seniors who are feeling pressure to get back to the Final Four, or seniors that went, this is it, we're going to hang and fight and push with everything we have to be the best that we can be, and they chose that.
Well, looking at that one game, you lose. How do you get ready for the tournament then? What did you do? Did you do anything different?
That's a good question. They did. I mean, I would love to take credit for that and go, you know what? We changed our defensive scheme. We added something different offensively. We didn't. We kept doing what we knew was best for our team, which was focus on rebounding, focus on paint touches, and focus on defense. That never changed. But when you lose, you're either going to point the finger and blame, or you're going to point the finger right back and say, what can I do to get better? I definitely did that as a coach after that game, and so did the players.
So I want to look at your 5 seniors. Talk about each one of them. Special, all of them special in their own right.
Absolutely. I'll start with Mary Brown. Mary Brown has been part of PCA as long as I have. I've known that kid since she was born, and so it's almost the equivalent of
Mary Brown.
Mary Brown.
Okay. I've not met Mary Brown.
Mary Brown has been with us. That's Chris Brown, Chris and Jenny Brown's daughter, senior for us. It's almost like coaching a family member. She has been all in. She spent countless hours in the gym to get better and be serviceable on this team, and that's exactly what she was. And so to have a senior like her who is all in, wanting to fight and push, and for us she said early on this season, Coach, I want us to win a state championship. I want that to be part of my time at PCA. And so when you've got a senior like that, whether she has 10 minutes on the floor, no minutes on the floor, in practice every day, fighting and pushing for everybody to get better is important. And so there's one. We got Carly Carter, who is next, who worked through a variety of injuries to the point that I thought she'd never come back, and I wouldn't blame her, to scoring our last point in the state championship and being a huge part of the success of our team. Carly Carter has watched us the whole time that I've been at PCA, so it's cool to have, in 2019, those girls were in the bleachers watching that. I'll move on now to Allie Melton. I mean, it's
toughest kid on the floor.
And let me say that her sister, not to shift to that, but it's going to be hard to be as successful as I want to be without a Melton on the floor. Her sister was part of the state championship team in 2019. The grit, determination, and excellence that Allie Melton brings us is going to be really, really tough to replace. And so Allie Melton, I can't say enough about her. It didn't show up in the stats, but we are definitely not where we are. State championship game, she's guarding a kid that scored double figures. I think she had 4. Huge.
She's just one of the toughest kids I've ever, boy or girl, toughest kid on the floor. And I just always, when I go to watch you guys, I always just love watching her.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about not having her or Melton on the floor. But she set the standard. You know, and so other kids will rise up because of what she's done and because of what her sister has done. And then Kate Madison Bornstad. Have I hit all 5 now, Coach?
That's 4.
That's 4.
Brother.
Okay.
Brother.
Yes, yeah, we'll keep going. So Kate Madison came to us as a sophomore, very hesitant. Her brother came in and was excited about being there. She wasn't so sure that she wanted to be there.
I think she had a tough time choosing.
She did.
I mean, she left a cousin that was tight
That's
with
right.
her behind.
Yeah, she did. She is very, very strong with her family and her values, her relationship with God, and so change was not something that she was looking forward to. I think she would tell you it's one of the best decisions that her family made. But it's been awesome to go from a locker room where she barely said boo to me the first year to now I am positive that we'll have a relationship that will lead way beyond basketball.
And she is going to play next year at Samford.
She's going to be playing at Samford.
Joining her brother.
Definitely a gigantic part of our success this season. I mean, at times get on my shoulders because we're going all the way to the end, all the way to the point of Halen Ayers, arguably one of the best players in the nation, guarding her in the last game, and KM holding her own, looking like she belonged, which has been incredible to watch her growth as a person relationally, and then otherwise. Briley Renfro bringing the last one. Briley barely played as an 8th grader, very athletic, but one of those kids that I just couldn't wait to have. Just watching her in middle school, she's an incredible teammate. Her work ethic is incredible. Her relationship with the Lord is what I aspire to have. And so anytime you have a kid like that in your locker room and on your team, you're going to get better. And so Coach, we're losing a bunch. We're losing a lot, and I'm just not talking about a ton of rebounds and points.
Yeah, again, you have so many good things that have happened over the course of your career there, but is there one championship sweeter than the other, or is it just both very unique?
Both very unique. I think they asked me that at the end of the game in an interview, and it's like it's just as exciting. It's not any less exciting. It's unbelievable because you know that I know because of my junior year in high school, they'll forget the details. They'll forget the turnover. They'll forget the score at halftime, but they'll never forget this team. They'll never forget the girls on the team. They'll never forget that they're state champions. It makes me emotional to think about. They'll never forget that. And that's a gift that they'll have forever that goes beyond just anything. They'll never forget that, and they'll have that experience. I knew that in 2019, and I know that now with this team.
Well, I'm going to thank you because I know you got to get to an executive meeting at PCA. I want to tell you I love watching you coach, and I wish you the very best in the future.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. We'll take our final break and be right back with Coach Hammons.
When it comes to your child's health,
You want care that's close, convenient,
and centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you
every step of the way.
What's the location of your emergency? I think my kid OD'd.
Hi, I'm Craig Harris. I'm County Commissioner of Rutherford County. One of the reasons I ran for office is because I wanted to bring awareness to the opioid epidemic that's impacting our county. To stop providing this epidemic with people as we educate. We have a lot to do, and we have to come together as a community because this problem's not going away.
Lace up your best kicks for a night of impact benefiting First Shot. Join us for the annual Sneaker Ball presented by Venture Express. Spend Sunday, April 26th with NFL Hall of Famer and Super Bowl MVP Marcus Allen. The event kicks off at 6 with a VIP meet and greet at 5. Reserve your table today. Call Coach Andy Herzer at 615-631-5312. We'll see you at the Sneaker Ball benefiting First Shot on April 26th.
When the weather turns bad, minutes, even seconds matter.
This is an early heads up for southern Rutherford County.
Rutherford Weather brings you live radar and expert meteorologist insight, giving you the early heads up when storms threaten.
A lot of areas are going to see some impacts from this storm.
From analysis to live camera views, we keep you informed before, during, and after the storm.
I think the vast majority of the hail with this now is going to be quarter to perhaps golf ball size.
Rutherford Weather. Stay ahead of the storm.
This message brought to you by the Central Tennessee Regional Solid Waste Planning Board. Visit recyclerightTN.com for tips, ideas, and locations on where to recycle near you.
Don't be trashy, recycle classy, recycle right, Tennessee.
Recycling isn't just about tossing materials in a bin, it's about knowing which materials are accepted. Go to recyclerightTN.com.
Recycle right, Tennessee.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into the Roundtable. I'm with Coach Carrie Hammons for the last segment of this show. Carrie, a little bit, just like Coach James, talk about this team, when it really started, what June was like. I don't think people realize high school coaches have a grind too. And it's not much different than college, other than you're probably not staying in very many hotels or getting on very many flights. So talk about June for you and this team and what you learned about them.
So June was, it was fragmented. We try to play a lot of high-level competition in June, like Coach was saying, to kind of see where you are, get beat early, see what you have as a team. And so we went to Auburn, we went to Ole Miss, we went to Alabama, MTSU, we went to Memphis, all over the place to try to play as much different and really good competition as we could. Throughout the summer, had guys leave the program, we may have had one team camp where we had our whole team, whether it was injuries or trips or something else. And so it was hard to get a real gauge of what we had because we were never all together. Still, though, the summer is one of my favorite parts of high school coaching. It's less stress. It's really coaching and players. We're going out there. We don't have a lot of practice days. We just go play. And the biggest part is the bus rides, the hotels, the meals, the playing 3 games in a day, just sitting around the gym talking to your team. Like, that is the most fun part for me. That's what I really enjoy about team camp in the summer. And it's been enjoyable. I look forward to it every year just because of the time that you get to be around your guys, the time that your guys get to be around each other, talking about whatever is going on in life. They bring their PS4s or PS5s or Xboxes in the hotel. They're all in each other's room, just having a good time. But transitioning to the off season, I thought we had a really good off season. I thought we were really good in the weight room. Our guys lived in the gym, getting shots up, extra work, playing pickup, and then season happens to start in November. Our first 3 games, we lose them. We're 0-3. And we lose.
Talk about who you played, though.
Yep. I mean, we always try to play tough competition. I think we started off Kirkwood, who got beaten sub-state this year. We played Bartlett, state champions. We played Baylor out of Chattanooga, who was in the state this year. Like, really high caliber teams. And that's how we want to start the season and see where we are. We've never had a problem scheduling really aggressively in a non-conference because we think it just helps us down the road. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. But we lose 3 in a row. Lost more in that week than we did all the previous season. And so it was actually maybe the best thing for us. It had an opportunity for us to sit down as a team and say, hey, man, like, especially my seniors, this is your team. Like, Preston Wade's not coming through that door. Baylor Allen, Trice Grinson, Davis Joyner, those guys aren't walking through this door. Like, you got to figure it out. You got to lead our group. Like, your mindset has to change, and we have to play together if we want this thing to be a little better than it is for this last week. And so credit those guys. They turned it around. They led our team really, really well. And we lost 3 games for the remainder of the season after that week.
So when you look at it, the growth of your young guards, talk about those 2 young guards you have, and where are you going to see them in the next 2 years too? So
Mikey Holloway, TJ Duke, 2 sophomore guards, and we knew that we were going to really, really depend on those guys. Like, those are the 2 point guards that we have on our roster. The point guards ahead of the team, they're extension of the coach on the floor, and so a lot is expected of those guys. Defensively, offensively, vocally, getting guys in the right spot. And so that started last year. They got spot minutes, but towards the end of the season didn't really play in those games that were really meaningful. TJ was banged up. Mikey had some spot minutes here and there, but not really in those minutes that impact the game when it matters. And so June was huge for them. All the minutes. Well, really, it was good for Mikey because TJ was still injured. So Mikey got a ton of reps, saw a ton of ball, and then this whole year, those guys played most of the game. And so when you play the schedule that we did, you play a lot of good teams, a lot of good coaches, a lot of good guards. Those guys have seen a lot of ball. They've seen a lot of situations. And to see their growth over the course of the year has been really fun. They're more poised. They started to really, really play like point guards. They started to be more vocal.
So when you say that, play like a point guard, what does that mean to you? Tell the audience.
Getting guys in the right spot. Whether that's offensively, defensively, being the most vocal guys on the floor, making the simple play. Draw 2, hit the open guy. Like, it sounds really, really simple, but a lot of times that doesn't happen in basketball. And if you watch really good basketball, you watch the NCAA tournament, the best teams are the ones that draw 2 and hit the open guy.
Not to throw salt in the wound, but Kentucky gets beat because they don't have a point guard. Mm-hmm. Literally, to me, in that game. So, and I think one of the hardest positions when I was a college coach, Coach Hammons, was finding that point guard that could do all those things that you're talking about. These 2 young men now have. So I think that's a rarity.
For sure. For sure. And to have 2 of them on the same team is a blessing. Those two guys, they love each other. They're thick as thieves. They're always smiling. They're a joy to coach. They're a joy to come into the practice floor every day. And then it was fun to see those older guys really trust them. And know that we relied on them, we needed them, and in the biggest games, those guys stepped up. They were never rattled, and so it's really, really exciting to think about what the future looks like for those two.
Talk about your seniors. Special group, right?
Incredible group.
Talented.
Very talented. I've been really blessed to have great young men and talented players come through the program. I'll start off with Abe Susi, a really great human being. I mean, just they don't come as any more solid than Abe, the ultimate team guy. Abe has battled injuries throughout his career. Really, really good young player coming in from Rockville, and then had an ACL deal that never really got back on track, but has always been a culture guy, a team guy, whatever the team needed, whatever we've needed as a coaching staff, like he's been willing to do. And so down the stretch, he had some really, really big games, and so it was fun to watch him impact winning. I really remember our region tournament against BGA. He had some huge keys in the first half that gives us a lead going in. And it was just, you knew what you were going to get out of him. When you put him on the floor, you knew what you were going to get out of him. And that's a joy as a coach. And then Nikolai Anderson, who really blossomed this year. I've said it a few times in some different media outlets, like it's rare for kids to stay and wait their turn. He comes to PCA last year. Our team was really good. He was a spot minute guy. After being, he had already scored 1,500 points at his previous school. He was the guy, and to come over and not get those same minutes and stay is rare. And so to see the work that he put in over the all season, to see the fruits of his labor this year, him grow as a leader, grow as a teammate, him have to have just a fantastic state championship game after a not so good semifinal game. Like, there were a ton of games where he was our best player. And so really, really happy for him and the season that he had. He's going to Lenore Ryan to play after this, and they were getting a really good player. Next, Chris Washington Jr., another guy who has just grown so much over the course of his 2 years at PCA. From his playmaking ability, from his character, his walk with the Lord. He's just a different young man than when he first walked in. If you would have said that he would not have an F in his time at PCA, people would have said you're crazy. But it's a testament to the work that he's done off the court with his tutor. Every home game, he's with his tutor for an hour before a game. A lot of people don't see that. They see the highlights and the dunks, but after our shoot-around pregame meal, he sits down with his tutor before every home game to make sure he gets what he needs to get done. And so I'm really excited to see what his college path is. He's about to start taking some visits to see what that looks like. But
just so everybody hears, he is a Power Four. He will sign with someone in a Power Four conference.
He will.
Very talented. I thought when I saw him 2 years ago, he couldn't guard my phone. And now to see how he's really grown defensively and taken that on. I mean, a lot of players that are offensively talented, they don't accept that challenge. The young man did. Mm-hmm. So, again, hats off to you guys to getting him to buy in. But when you look forward to next year.
One more. I got one more.
Oh, my fault.
More. Yep. Peyton Applegate.
Ooh, I forgot about Peyton.
Peyton Applegate.
Grew up in First Shot.
Yep.
My fault, Peyton.
Blue collar, tough, leader, communicator. He was the glue guy of our team. We couldn't take Peyton off the floor, and if he ever had to come off the floor, we were missing him. Just an awesome kid who's come in and changed our program, changed our culture. He's made every coach, every player a better version of themselves. He just signed to go play at USC Aiken. They're getting a hard-nosed, tough, coachable, loving young man, and I'm blessed to be able to have been able to coach him for the last 2 years.
It's a great school. A lot of people don't realize how good a Division II that program has been over the 50 years, because I went in 1980 and was playing USC Aiken and, having wars with them. So a really good program. And Lenore Ryan, my first time ever playing against Lenore Ryan, a guy named Hershey put his foot on my shoulder and dunked on me. So I can remember Lenore Ryan for the rest of my life. But Carrie, you look forward to next year. And I think every team, it's got to be next. And it's a new, unique situation. What has to happen for you guys to continue to have success?
We still got to continue to grow in our culture. I think when we're together, when we're tough, we defend. That always gives you a chance. Those have been things that we've kind of hung our hat on the last few years and allowed us to be successful. We got to live in the gym. We got to live in the weight room to play the way that we want to play. We got a group coming back that's a fun group to be around. We'll be young. We'll be really young. But we'll have guys that like being in the gym. They play the right way. And so our off season will kind of determine what kind of team we're going to have when November comes.
Well, again, I think more importantly, what people don't understand is the leadership from a young man, from an old guy to a young man that you have exhibited. And it's a testament to your character, to the character of your staff and how hard you guys work. And I don't think people really realize how hard it is to win a state championship. And you've won 2 back-to-back. Talk about both of them. Both are unique. I asked you a couple of weeks ago this question. So is anyone more special than or are they both just unique?
They're totally unique. Last year's team, coming off of losing the year before in the final game, that could have easily won. We came into the offseason with a chip on our shoulder, and it was different. Like, we expected to be in the title game. We expected to win it. Now, it's really hard to do that, but that was the expectation all year with as many returners that we had. Like, that was our expectation. It still was sweet to actually win it. But it felt different than this year's team, especially starting off the season, how we did, losing the guys that we did last year. Lost 4 starters. I had 1 returning starter this year, 2 young point guards kind of leading our team. Nick and Peyton were role guys the year before. You just don't know how it's going to shape out. And, we took our lumps early, but we played some tough competition. We played a lot of teams in our non-conference that played in the state of their division, whether it was we went to Memphis and we played Parkview and Marion, 2 Arkansas teams that played each other in the state championship game. We played Imhotep Charter out of Pennsylvania, who has won, I think, 10 state championships. And so we played high caliber teams, and I think that gave this squad belief that we could play with anybody. And we started to trend in the right direction at the right time. Like, we lost to BGA early in the season, and then district championship, district tournament, region tournament, we just kept getting better. We kept getting better. Guys took coaching. We were able to change scouting on the fly with day prep, and you were able to see how locked in the guys were. And then you started to like, okay, like, we got a chance. And they just kept believing. They kept believing in each other. They kept being coachable. So they were just different. Both really, really sweet. It still doesn't feel real to think we did it back to back. There's just so many great coaches that haven't won. And so it's just unreal. It's a testament to the guys that we have in the locker room and the work that they've been willing to put in.
Well, I think it takes all sorts of things to work in your favor. Injuries. I mean, just think about one of your guys, one of your first 5 guys go down. Applegate goes down. You just said he was the glue.
Yep.
And you're an injury away from not winning one. And I don't think people realize just how special and how tough it is, no matter what you call the level it is to win. And again, I just think for you that I just wish you continued success. But most of all, is keep developing kids the way you are. I love the fact that you guys pour into them Christ-like character. It's just, to me, the key to the answers of what's going on so that they can make better choices than we did. I didn't make good choices when I was 17, 18, 19. I just didn't because I didn't have that being poured into me. So I look at it, and the culture is so important in today's world when the world tells you that your culture is wrong. So how do you fight against that?
It's hard. We're fighting the world every day. And I think you have to keep pouring into the kids that God's truth is the truth that we're trying to follow. Like, they have the phones, they got social media, they have all these things that are grabbing for their attention and telling them that this is what you should be chasing, whether it's money, whether it's fame, whether it's whatever that is. You got to keep pointing them back to God's word. And I think having a coaching staff, having administration, teachers, coaches that model it
walk it
is way more important than us telling it. I think that when they see us modeling it, us doing what we say or asking them to do, then it holds a lot more weight than us just speaking or talking at them.
Well, again, I appreciate you coming in. You make sure you thank Coach James as well today for me. Again, that'll be it for this Monday morning in the Borough.
Thanks, Andy.